Hey everybody, I'm Joe Longo. This is 30 Days of Inspiration. Thank you so much for watching. This is my friend Maura. From Yoga Home, which is right back there. And we're sitting in the community garden. And I thought it would be fun to talk to Maura about gardening? Not really. About community and what it takes to really do what you do. And so I used to teach at Yoga Home, and I do workshops here. And I was telling her, every time I walk in, I feel like I'm getting a hug. Like, it's just such a warm, cozy feeling as soon as you walk in the doors. If you've never been here, please come. There's a lovely little cafe inside, a great couch, and it feels like home. Hence, Yoga Home, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, good. Thank you for saying that, and that means that it's working, some of what we're trying to do. And so I think the first thing that's really important to acknowledge is that to build a community, you need to have a community. So it's not just me with Yoga Home, right? I have a business partner, Carrie Hanlon. We have a manager, Bryn. We've got a front desk team. We've got a crew of amazing, talented teachers that are all really invested in our vision and our mission to make yoga more accessible for everybody and to create that community, not just inside the studio walls, but outside that. So it really is true that it takes a village, and so I just need to acknowledge that first, that it's not me and me alone, right? That's doing this work.
It is a wonderful tribe supporting everything. But before the studio, you were teaching and doing teacher trainings and traveling and building communities around the world.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to settle down and open up a studio and take on all of it?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple pieces of it, right? Is that I started to recognize that one of my talents was connecting people. That I'm a connector, I'm a manifestor, all of those things, and that became really obvious to me. And so I started thinking about how I do that more effectively and efficiently. And while I used to run a studio before, and then I was teaching, and I think anybody that teaches at multiple studios knows that there's a hustle to it and there's a grind to it that can be really unsustainable. There's pieces of it that can be really enjoyable because you get to meet different people, et cetera, but I was looking for a way to kind of anchor all the things that I wanted to do in one spot, in the hopes that there was more potential with that to be more concentrated in my efforts, more sustainable, and then ultimately more fulfilling and more joyful. Yeah. So I was living in Conshohocken. Carrie and I were friends, and so we started that conversation of what did it look like to open this sort of studio and community space in Conshohocken. She lives in Conshohocken, has raised her family in Conshohocken. We knew that there was a desire and need for it in this town, and we kind of just went from there, bridging our different experiences, our different backgrounds, our different communities and network of students and friends and family, and just hit the ground running. Yeah.
And you did.
Yeah.
You hit the ground running. You just had your fourth anniversary. Fourth anniversary. Wow. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
I remember coming and taking pictures of the first anniversary celebration. Yeah. It goes so quick.
It does go so quick. And yet it seems so long. So long.
Right.
Long.
I mean, it's quick, it's long.
Yeah.
Look back, like, where did the time go?
Yeah.
Before the studio, you were leading teacher trainings that had this wonderful seva piece.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I'd like to talk about that a little bit. And do you do teacher trainings here?
We do not.
No. Was that a conscious decision? And we'll get back to the other things.
Yes.
It was no trainings?
Trainings, but not necessarily teacher training.
Yeah.
So Carrie and I are really interested in developing humans to their fullest, helping to develop humans to their fullest potential, and there's so many different ways to do that. So it became more important to us to offer workshops or immersions or 3-day trainings that were really specific. So if you follow Yoga Home at all, you know that we do a lot with Off the Mat Into the World, or the faculty that's come out of that, a lot of trauma-informed work. Carrie's work with adaptive yoga and accessible yoga, and really finding this niche. I never say that word right. Is that the correct word?
I think.
Right, to give people, because we have a variety of classes on our schedule as well. Our community is really diverse, so being able to offer have diverse offerings to help people kind of pick and choose where they want to learn and grow in their practice and in their lives. And also, you know, there's a lot of teacher trainings, and we didn't want to, and this may change in the future, we didn't want to distract from what our core mission was. And teacher training is a lot of work. I've done them before, as everybody has. It's a ton of work. Yeah. Right. So that was a conscious decision.
But what I was talking about earlier, was it with off the mat? Who was it with? So no, when you did the teacher trainings, everyone also had to, not had to, but
they did. It was. I mean, they didn't have to, but it was part of our training. So Brittany Paula-Koster and I led those teacher trainings, and really through her organization, Beyond Asana, we partnered with an organization called Build On. So while Brittany and I were both inspired by Off the Mat, it wasn't with Off the Mat that we partnered with. So in addition to our teacher training, students were also challenged to raise $5,000 for this collaboration with Build On, where we would go with them on a service track to build a school in a developing country. And so we built a big piece of service into our teacher training, and then a fundraising component, and that really ultimately started this conversation of what does it mean to take your yoga off the mat? And it's truly what I'm interested in. And use your voice and be authentic and be out there in your community. So that was hard work for a lot of people, and heart work. And the trip in and of itself there's so many different components of it, right? And this is what we're doing now at Yoga Home with our project From Home to Haiti, to be able to see a different way, to be able to experience something different than your own, to broaden your horizons and your perspective, so that way ultimately we can all perhaps be a little more compassionate, a little understanding, a little more flexible as we move through the world in a conscious way and make decisions, and whether that's about politics, whether that's the food you purchase, or the clothing that you purchase, etc. And so it's really, those trips are there's a sacred reciprocity that happens. Seane Corn always says there's no such thing as selfless service, right? That in serving we receive so much as well. But it's a big get out of your comfort zone and question things kind of experience that we don't necessarily have access to sometimes here.
Right.
Yeah.
It was so. I remember some of my friends that were doing the training like it was a whole other piece.
It's a whole other piece.
Added in, which was great.
Yeah.
And everyone I know that have done it seems like they've really got so much.
Yeah.
You know, not just here's how to teach a down dog, but this is also how you serve and give back and uplift and support.
And I think that like, I'm not interested in teaching somebody how to teach down dog. I'm interested in teaching somebody how to be who they are meant to be and show up in the world in a really impactful way. And so that service component that Brittany and I did together with the teacher training has now come over to Yoga Home in some form or fashion, and you know, everything mutates, right? And so we have a project that we're working on now. We partner with an organization called Hope for Haiti, and they're based out of Florida. And unlike teacher training, there's no asana, there's no sequencing, things like that. It's a 7-month curriculum built specifically around what does it mean to be a conscious citizen in today's world. So sustainable service work, doing work internationally, examining the dynamics of power and privilege, and all of that. So it's called service learning. And then again, with a trip to Haiti, where we'll work in direct collaboration with the citizens there, with the community members there, for what they need, and teach us about their culture. We're learning about Haiti, we're learning about Haiti's history, Haiti's present, and so the same dynamics of what Brittany and I were doing together, but now with just a much more focused curriculum. It's not a fundraising project, it's this service learning collaboration, and really digging into some of those shadows that are popping up in our world today.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if somebody out there wants to be involved with that,
so the curriculum, so it's closed.
Okay.
They can certainly donate to the cause and help us support our mission, but we'll do it again. We'll do it again, and our intention is to kind of keep growing it and have different branches of it, so that hopefully we can do it multiple times a year. We have 2 other co-facilitators with that, Christy McCourt and Allison Gold Russell. And so this is our first year. We kept the group small to be able to launch it and see what happens, and then to really, what does a project like this look like in terms of sustainability and in terms of being of service to the Haitian community members and what they need, but also being in service to our community members and what they need. And that's not necessarily about collecting art supplies and donating goods, but it's about learning. It's about learning, it's about listening. Again, this seeing a different way, right? And just really exploring that. And so I was thinking about what we were going to talk about when I was walking to work today, and I think that, and other people might have this similar experience. In my mid-20s through my early 30s, I was really interested and invested in my own evolution, and I'm not anymore. And not to say that my practice and my path and my work isn't as important, but my priority now is our evolution, right? And how we have this really big, strong community here. What does it mean to be doing this off of the mat? And I know that that's a terminology and a phrase that's thrown around a lot, but the times they are a-changing, right? And how does everything we learn really help us be a better human being? That's what I'm interested in. That's what community means for me now. So it's interesting. Yeah. It's hard, and there's so much I don't know.
Oh, of course.
I'm interested in learning. I'm interested in how do we do this together. Yeah.
And to get a little woo-woo.
Yeah.
So in the Kundalini tradition, a lot of the practice was preparing for the age of Aquarius, which we're supposedly just entered into in like 2012 or whenever. But the Piscean age, it was, teach me, I want to learn, but there's also this separation. And the age of Aquarius, it's okay, now we know, now it's time to go do. Like, we're still learning, but now's the time to actually okay, we're taking what we've learned and what we're learning, but now we're going to put it into action. And the separation that was here in the Piscean age is now gone, and we're all connected. And if we realize that we're all connected, and we should be helping each other and helping uplift and move forward in a way, I feel that that's what you all are doing. You're stepping off the mat and going out into the world to show, uplift, support, and give back in such a beautiful way.
We're trying. I'm trying. And, I think the difference from that time period in my life where I was interested in my own evolution and now I'm interested in our evolution is there's a maturity and there's an understanding that there's so much I don't know. There's so much healing that needs to happen in my own life and my own history and my own past and my own family and, my own community, my own experiences. And then it's time for me to listen. It's time for me to not think I know it all. And I can still be a leader and step into that role of being a catalyst to shake things up, stir things up, and engage people. But I don't necessarily have to be the one speaking about it because it's not my direct experience, right? I'm a white woman, and there's privileges that I have that I'm aware of that not everybody has. So I'm interested in leaning into that edge, into that shadow, and what are other people's experiences, and can we work together to educate, inform, and create more. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For doing this. Now for the hard part.
Yep.
So I've been asking everyone if you can give everybody out there one little nugget of advice.
The yoga teachers, we say everything we say is really for ourselves, right? Is to stay curious, stay open, listen, be considerate, and know that there's so many different ways to the truth. Yeah.
That's beautiful. There are so many different ways to the truth.
Note to self.
Oh, it's so true. When all the workshops that I teach, it's everything that I need.
Yeah.
Like, it's the stuff that I need. And through my study, I'm like, oh, well, I can give it back, and I will get something from it as well.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's hard. I'm a jerk sometimes, right? Like, my passion, my fire can come out in ways that the impact is different than the intention. And so learning how to ground that. And I was telling Joe earlier, you know, I don't want to say I got schooled, but I learned so much last night from a young woman who's probably 15 years younger than I, that I perceived to have a very similar experience in life than me, and it wasn't. And I felt so humbled and so grateful, because 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I would have just battled her and said, no, it's this way, no, it's this way, and we both showed up in a way that we were able to hear each other, and I was really humbled, which is a gratifying experience for me, to learn something different from someone else. Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank
for doing
you.
this. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out in the garden.